There are memories that don't feel like stories. They feel like sensations. A smell, a slammed door, a silence so loud you still hear it when the room is quiet. You tell yourself you had a normal childhood. Others had it worse, right? But some nights, when everything slows down, something small, a sound, a word, a face, pulls you back into a feeling you can't explain. Your body stiffens. Your breath shortens. It's like walking into a house you once escaped, only to realize part of you never left. This is the psychology of remembering a childhood you survived. Not one you simply lived through, but one that demanded too much, too soon. Trauma researchers say the body keeps score. Even when the mind forgets, the nervous system remembers the tone of danger. It remembers the watchfulness, the way you learned to predict moods, the way you carried guilt for things far too big for your small shoulders. And maybe now, as an adult, you struggle with memory's double edge, wanting to understand, yet terrified of what understanding might uncover. Because once you admit it hurt, you can't keep pretending it was fine. So let me ask you something. Have you ever defended your past just to survive its truth? Ever told yourself you turned out okay because the alternative, grieving what you missed, felt impossible? You're not alone in that. Remembering is not about blaming. It's about honoring the strength it took to endure what you couldn't change. It's about finally letting the child inside you tell their side of the story. There's a strange guilt in remembering. Like opening a door you swore you locked years ago. You tell yourself, it wasn't that bad. You minimize the pain, not because you're lying, but because remembering means re-feeling, and re-feeling means reliving. Many survivors do this. It's called protective forgetting. Your brain hides certain truths not out of weakness, but mercy. When you were young, remembering danger too clearly would have made it impossible to keep going. So your mind tucked it away, like boxes in an attic labeled someday. But healing is tricky, because someday always comes. And one morning, you find yourself crying over a movie, or flinching at a tone of voice, or feeling small in a way you can't explain. That's not regression. That's the memory beneath the memory surfacing. You survived by dissociating, by stepping out of the story. Now, you're being invited to step back in, only this time, with safety on your side. So let me ask you this. When did you start confusing numbness for peace? When did not remembering feel like control? And what would it mean to finally let the truth breathe, without letting it define you? Remembering isn't reopening the wound. It's cleaning it, so it can finally close. You're not breaking down. You're breaking open. And that's what healing really sounds like. When you start remembering, it doesn't come as neat scenes. It comes as fragments. A smell that turns your stomach. A song that makes you cry for no reason. A random phrase that feels heavier than it should. That's because trauma memory isn't stored like a timeline. It's stored like a collage of sensations. Psychologists call this somatic recall. Your body relives what your mind tried to file away. It's why you might freeze when someone raises their voice, or feel dread at the sound of footsteps down a hallway. Your body isn't broken. It's just remembering in its own language. But here's what no one tells you. Remembering isn't just painful, it's confusing. Because the child in you still wants to protect the people who hurt you. You make excuses. You rewrite the past. You say things like, they didn't mean it. Because that belief once kept you safe. Believing it was love was easier than believing you were alone. And yet, every time you minimize your pain, you silence the child who lived through it. You deny them the justice of being heard. So when those memories surface, don't rush to explain them away. Don't shame yourself for not remembering clearly. The goal isn't accuracy, it's acknowledgement. To look at the scared version of you and say, I believe you. Have you ever felt that tension, the pull between wanting to remember and wanting to run? That's not weakness. That's your heart and your defense mechanisms arguing over who gets to protect you. When you've survived a hard childhood, adulthood becomes a continuation. Only now you call your coping personality. You become the one who never asks for help. The one who fixes, achieves, stays busy. You build a life made of structure, because structure feels safer than stillness. At work, you're competent, respected, maybe even admired. But you rarely feel proud, because the voice that drove you as a child still whispers, don't mess up, don't relax, don't need. In relationships, you love carefully. You anticipate others' moods. You shrink your needs to keep the peace. You mistake intensity for connection and silence for safety. And when someone offers kindness, you flinch because your nervous system doesn't know what calm feels like. That's the hidden legacy of surviving. Your body never got the update that the danger is over. It still prepares for storms that aren't coming. But here's something powerful. You're not broken for living this way. You're adaptive, brilliantly so. Your hyper-independence, your overthinking, your control, they were once your shield. And maybe they saved you. The task now isn't to destroy those defenses. It's to thank them and then gently retire them. Because the same armor that once protected you now keeps love at arm's length. So, ask yourself, what would it feel like to live without bracing for impact? What would safe mean if it didn't have to mean alone? The child who survived built your strength, but it's the adult in you who gets to build your peace. So how do you begin to live with the memories that once threatened to break you? Not by forcing forgiveness, not by pretending it doesn't hurt, but by learning how to hold both truth and tenderness in the same breath. Start here. When a memory rises, don't ask, why now? Ask, what does this part of me need to feel safe today? That shift, from interrogation to care, is what rewires your nervous system toward healing. It's okay if the answer is simple. Maybe it's a blanket, a walk, a cup of tea, a deep sigh. These small rituals are signals to your body. The danger is over. You made it. Therapists call this reparenting the self, giving yourself the comfort you were once denied. It's not about erasing what happened. It's about creating what should have. And over time, those gestures become muscle memory, safety learned, not imagined. Try this. When guilt creeps in for having it better now, remind yourself, healing doesn't betray the child you were. It honors them. You survived so that they could finally rest. And if you find yourself still defending the ones who hurt you, you're not weak. You're grieving the fantasy of what could have been. That's part of healing, too. So let me ask, what's one memory you've avoided because it felt too heavy to face? What might it need from you? Anger, compassion, closure? Remember, you don't have to relive it. You just have to witness it. That's how remembering turns into release. Maybe remembering isn't about reopening wounds. Maybe it's about finally giving your pain a place to rest. For so long, you carried it in silence, like a secret stitched beneath your skin. You smiled, you succeeded, you survived. But deep down, you always knew there were chapters of your story still waiting to be read. Now, as you remember, do it slowly, with kindness, with pauses. You're not the child living through it anymore. You're the adult who can hold it safely. You can look back without falling back in. One day, the memories that once felt unbearable will soften into understanding. Not because they stop hurting, but because you stop fighting them. You start seeing the child you were not as broken, but as brilliant, resilient, resourceful, a survivor who learned to love the world again, one heartbeat at a time. If this sounded like your story, tell me in the comments. What's one thing you've remembered recently that changed how you see your past? What would you say to the child version of you if they were listening right now? And if there's a word you wish they had heard back then, write it below. Before you go, share this quietly with someone who's still afraid of their own memories. Because sometimes, healing begins when we realize remembering isn't reopening, it's returning home.